Hey team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today we got a special guest on here for you. I am joined by Landon Bunderson. He is with Nano Yield. He's out of Utah, you guys, and excited to have him on the show. Landon, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Good, man. Hey, you get the same opening question everybody does. What does it mean for you to be intentional?
It's a good question. If I'm to speak on what I know about being intentional, I can only speak specifically about what I do and how it works for me. So right now at Nano Yield, I lead science and marketing, which is kind of a weird combination of things. Both teams, I tell them all the time, we want people to know how great our people are and how great our products are. So everything is about clear, simple messages. And so whether it's a new ad, a new product, or a new trial, which are the kind of some of the functions that we do, I remind my team over and over, remember the reason we're doing this. There's only one reason we're doing this. We're here to make sure people know that we're great and our products are great. And the things I say are just on constant loop with my teams to try to help them be intentional about what they're doing. And so, some of the things that I say on loop are, hey, remember, the things that we're doing exist. The reason we exist is to make sure that our sales team has an easier job. If we can make everything smoother for them, if the people they reach out to know that our products are great and we're great, things will be easy for everyone. And I say other things like, hey, nothing you're doing is more important than helping a customer. And sometimes our customers are our sales team, and sometimes our customers are people who purchase our products. But, it's easy to get wrapped up into these big plans and these big ideas and think that you're doing this big master plan. Yeah. But if you can just boil it down to, we're just trying to make everything easier for sales, then I say things like, don't let your plans get in the way of executing our goal, which is making things easier.
Yeah, come on. Honestly, it's so good. What I want to tap on something to make sure that people hear what you said and then talk a little bit about it, right? And it's like, so from a leadership perspective, this is the thing that I put on loop, right? Like, this is, what does that mean? I put it on loop. It means I put it on repeat and I say it again and again. If you think about it this way, when it's election season and we're going through the election cycle, and if you're following a politician for whatever reason, I don't know why people watch the news. I don't, but I do know how it works. And so when a politician goes out and stumps, right? They call it stumping. Right? What does that mean? That means they're going up and they're giving a stump speech. What does that mean? It's the same damn speech every single time. They're hitting the same talking points, right? And they're promoting their thing and they're accusing the other side, right? And they're promoting their thing and they're accusing the others. And it's so predictable. It's so boring actually now. And I don't want to get into complaining about politics, but that's how it works. And I think often in what I see leaders doing in business is we think that we have to come up with new things to say all the time to keep people engaged, when it's actually, from an intentional perspective, as you're talking about it, it's actually the opposite. We need fewer things.
Yeah, you need to be intentionally single-minded, and that's a lot of what I do, whether right or wrong. That's how I approach it.
Yeah, you're saying, like, so when our team, when our science team and our marketing team are getting together or we're working on stuff, it's either making sales job easier or it's not.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's kind of that's what it distills down to. So are we solving for that problem, or are we throwing new things in because, well, this is new and cool and this is new and cool and shiny? By the way, I am the chief sinner when it comes to this, because my team will have to, and in fact, enthusiasm and optimism are two of my key strengths. And so there's never a bad idea, and I can always find a way to sell it. So my team has to have permission to call me out and say, hey, Mark, cool idea. Not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the same. I have the same problem.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes I love ideas. So, but
right.
the deeper I get into to this job and this position, the more I realize cool ideas are fun, and it's good to explore and expand. Um,
Hmm.
but reinventing that stump speech without changing the stump speech, if
Yeah.
I'm to use your analogy, that's where the creativity can be really valuable.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, big time. Big time. I love it. All right. Well, guys, so Landon is the chief science officer at Nano Yield. He oversees a lot of different things. He's also, I mean, he's got some Iowa State in his background. He's got some Tulsa university in his background. He's got a PhD from the University of Tulsa in research and in plant science and plant biology. So a lot of qualifications, obviously, for the role and some diversity in there. And you guys are in Utah. So talk to us a little bit about the day to day. Talk to us about Nano Yield. What do you guys do?
Nano Yield creates innovative nanotechnologies for agriculture, and everything we do is about delivery. So our products are they exist to make fertilizers better. They make pesticides better. They're additives, mostly additives or coatings that
Mm-hmm.
make things get into the plant more efficiently.
Got it.
And,
Got
and
it.
so, yeah, my day to day is demonstrating with trials that this stuff works, working with
Mm-hmm.
marketing to communicate how it works, why it works, how you should use it, why you should use it. And then the funnest part is new products, which
Yeah.
we have a pipeline and we try to create new products that don't compete with our existing products. And that's a
Yep.
fun part.
Cool. What is it? What is it? What is a nano? There we nanotech, nano bots, nano like
Yeah.
techno like
Nano,
what
nano has become somewhat of a buzzword, but it's really a measurement of distance or size, right? So
sure.
it would sound funny, but you could also say, well, meter technology. What's meter technology? Well, a football field
Sure.
is measured in yards, yard technology,
Yeah.
meter technology, but
Right, right.
nanotechnology is technology that's measured in nanometers, and the reason it's measured in nanometers is because it's that small, right? So
Fine. Yeah.
nanometers exist between what we use pesticides and fertilizers when they're dissolved in water. They are molecular scale.
Mhm.
If I'm to simplify it, the next rung up on that ladder is nanoscales. These
Okay.
are delivery packages that you can fill with those molecules, and then you can introduce it to the next scale up, which is cellular. And
Got it.
I'm simplifying that, but take small molecules, you put them in
Yeah.
nanoparticles, you introduce nanoparticles to cells, plant
Yeah.
cells, in our case.
I mean, it was worth showing up to the call just to get that, to be at least for me. Maybe other people are more aware of what nano means, but intentionally speaking, like I don't know that I was. And it was interesting. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it's all on like the advances of AI and things that are happening so quickly and where we're growing. And then they said the nanotech is coming on the back of that. And I was like, whoa, I'm just getting AI under my belt and figuring how to use this out, how to build our business using that. Now, right, I got to worry about nanotech. Crap, like what is that like what is that what's in the vaccine? Like right. But it's like when we have these terms that we don't understand, they're scary for people.
Yeah, they are.
Right.
Yep.
So, that helps me understand. Oh, okay, cool. So you guys have technology that helps get the molecules that are in the things that we need for ag into the cells to make it do its job.
Yeah, and one thing that is hard to wrap your brain around is these technologies. Like we've been saying AI for a little while now, maybe a decade. We've
Mm-hmm.
AI has been kind of a buzzword. Before AI, remember people were saying machine learning. You
Yep.
remember that?
Yep.
Same
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
We just use a different term now, and there may be some slight differences with nanotechnologies. Nanotechnology existed before somebody started using the word nano, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know. Technology is
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very fun. It's very interesting. It is a very interesting time because there is obviously an accelerated rate at which we're able to do really specific things and really unique things, and we can solve problems that we haven't been solving for historically. Maybe we can tap more into that a little bit later. But I just want to talk about the organizational side because we've had Clark, who's your guys' CEO, on the show. I think over a year and a half ago. But you've been there basically since the beginning and not in the CEO role. So I'm interested in your take on like how have you guys built culture within Nano Yield? You're, 35, 40 people strong. I think at this point you've had good growth, you've got good performance. I know Clark's got big vision. But talk to me a little bit about like, how have you guys gone about building culture? How are you getting the right people on your team? What does it look like at the current stage? And what has it looked like? Because you've been doing this for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Culture is something that Clark and our CEO and I talk about occasionally, but not very often. But that doesn't mean we don't think about culture. I liked, I mean, the company has changed dramatically over the 10, 12 years that I've been
Mm-hmm.
here. And there has been a constant in this radical change. And it's really hard with a startup um, because the company grow if you're doing a good job, the company grows rapidly and things change rapidly and you grow
Mm-hmm.
out of people. And that's really hard to get to a point where you go, we don't need what you can do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One of the things that the Bell family, that's Clark and his father Warren, who are two of the founders of the company, are really
Yeah.
good at is treating everyone like family. And when I think of culture, I think of family. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people cringe when they hear me say, or I know I don't say this, but I know people are cringing saying, oh no, companies are not family. Well, wait till you get teenagers and then you start to go, my family is like a company. So, uh, with teenagers, you've got to set very clear goals, boundaries, objectives, and then you have to check in regularly.
Mm.
And again, people think of family and they think of disciplining and they think of things like that. But if things are working really well in a family, you're sitting down with your teenager, or it's a company, you're sitting down with your coworkers, the people who work under you, and you're saying, okay, here is the family goal. Here are the boundaries that I need you to work in. And
Mm.
my job is to make you as autonomous as possible. And that's what you do with a teenager. And that's what you should be doing with somebody who works underneath you is creating a culture where that person knows what their boundaries are, feels trusted, and goes out there and does the absolute best they can. And if you can do that with positivity, and if you're communicating enough, my belief is that uh, there's very little not creativity, negativity that has to creep in. It's
Mm-hmm.
just positive. If you're checking in every single day, I walk down the hall. I check in every single day with my teams, and I say, what's going on? How's it going? What can I help you with? How's that project going? How's this project going? And sometimes they'll say, oh, it's not going well. And I'll say, okay, well, good luck. If you need something, let me know. And then sometimes I'll say, let's open the hood and tell me about it.
Yeah.
But building an intentional culture, it's about creating an environment where people can thrive. And if you can do that with positivity, and that's what I want to do with kids, that's what I want to do with coworkers. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that Clark and Warren brought, and I have just imitated.
Well, I love it. It's like, first of all, it's just one of the best analogies that we've had on the show describing what it's like. Because especially those of us that have you either been a teenager or you've raised one at this point, right? And
Yeah.
and a good chunk of our audience has raised some, and we've got several. We have 5 in our house, and one that's 10. So we're about to go through it again. But it's you learn a few things along the way. I picked this up from it's a couple of brothers called the Benham brothers. They're big in the real estate space, so not in ag, but read their book on leadership a while ago, and went through some of their courses. And one of the things they talk about is the 4 stages, right, of parenting. And the initial phase is the babysitting phase, right, when they're little. Like you just have to take care of them. I mean, you just have to watch,
Right. Keep them
every.
alive.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you graduate them to the referee phase, right? Where it's like, go here, do this, don't do that, right? And we're just constantly overseeing. You set the boundaries around them, and it's like, you can do this, you can't do that, right? And you're refereeing their interactions with their brothers and sisters and friends and all these things, and like, planning out their days and stuff like that. But then we graduate as we get older, right? We graduate into what's hopefully the coaching phase, right? And this is where we ideally would be with our teenagers for the most part, right? If we're still refereeing at the teenager phase, and we probably missed something in the earlier developmental stages that now we're paying for. and I'm not here to disregard or make people who just have a difficult child feel less. Like some of us were that one too, and now you're just paying for your sin for the past too. But you have that. So the final phase though is what's called the partnership phase, right? And if you do a good job of babysitting and refereeing and coaching your kids, then eventually you get to be in partnership. And that could be being good friends when they're adult kids. It could be being in business together. It could be a lot of things, right? It could take on a lot of different forms. But that always really stuck with me, and it kind of lines up with what you're saying. And we can apply the same concept to an employee, right? I mean, when we bring a new person in, like we're going to take a little bit more of put some kid gloves on when we first bring them in, right? And then we're going to show them the ropes. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. This is how it works within our culture. We expect, right? And this isn't like, this could be a matter of days, not months necessarily, where this happens. But then, hopefully, like we get more into that coaching phase, and then eventually partnership phase, and then develop that partnership culture inside our space where, hey, I care about your success, you care about our success, and we're in partnership. So that's how I like to think about it a lot, and I think
that lines up. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So just talk to us a little bit about, what are you guys seeing in the phase of business that you all are in, right? Where you're in a growth phase. I know you've had some good growth. You're looking to grow. Is this a space where is it easy to find good people to be on the science team and the marketing team and sales team? Do you fight like other ag companies to find good people? Like how does that working for you guys right now?
We feel pretty good about the talent that's out there, and the talent that we're able to acquire. Certainly a moving target in terms of compensation and things like that. But I feel like there's good talent out there, and when we bring people in, they see that everybody likes the job, and if we can be competitive in terms of compensation, we can get people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good.
We've been reasonably satisfied with the people we've acquired. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, I'm sitting here in a space where it's like there's way more talent than I can afford to acquire. So, our little company over here, with probably an outsized footprint only because of the podcast, and a lot of people listen to it, but. It's some are dealing with that, and then some are already obviously at scale with hundreds or so employees, and struggling to find people that do some of those hourly jobs and the tough jobs, right, that make ag go. So we're always kind of curious. Good. What as you look back over the last 10, 12 years of building this business, being a part of the team, what's been one of the biggest challenges for you?
The biggest challenge for me is that occasion when you hire the wrong person. It's not their fault that you hired the wrong person, and it may or may not be your fault that you hired the wrong person, but you hire somebody to do a job, and you have to recognize in the hiring process that this is a person who needs and wants a job and thinks that this is going to be reasonably a good fit, and we're
Mhm.
doing the same thing, but there's a little bit of, keeping some things close to the vest. And so from the day they land till, 30 days out, that's a critical period of onboarding. And I've had a few occasions where we've gotten people onboarded and we've been like, this doesn't work. This isn't going to work.
Mhm.
And then the question is, well, how long do you try to shoehorn them in?
Mhm.
What do you do with this? Again, it's not their fault. Now, that doesn't mean they're a great employee with the wrong job, but often it does.
Yeah.
The longer I do this, the more I believe that if people land in the right job, they thrive. And if they don't land in the right job, they don't thrive. And that doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with your company and your
Yeah.
leadership and who you are. It just sometimes doesn't work. And that's really hard. Unwinding that, I've had to do that a handful of times. And it's every other year basically,
Mhm.
where I just go, okay, you know, I've got to figure out a good way to unwind this because this is not working. Sometimes we'll move
Mhm.
them into different positions and divisions and things like that. And we've tried a
Mhm.
little bit of that, but a lot of times it's just like wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
part as amicably as possible, and we need to get you in a place where you're going to thrive. And that's hard. I don't like doing that. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's never fun, but I do like the way that you frame it up, and then and it's not like, hey, we got to get rid of this person. And by the way, I know some I know some leaders that do frame it that way, and I may or may not have done that in the past. Also, it's like, I mean, you just have a very intentional way of saying it. It's like, hey, we need to find a way to unwind this and help this person on to what's next or what's best. And I mean, have you ever had to leave a job and go to another job where you weren't somehow better off, right, than you were before? I mean, we have to. I
Right.
think we have to think about it that way. And we're gonna have
Yeah.
people are going to go on to new things, and that's going to be better for them. And I look at everybody that I know who has worked for me at some point. They're all better off today than they were. And maybe that's
Yeah.
saying poor
Yeah.
things about me, but I see them now
No.
thriving in the roles that they're in today. And it's like, okay, if I was a part of, or if we were a part of helping them get to that stage, then good job us. Right. If whether, and maybe we made it uncomfortable for them and they decided to say, hey, screw you, I'm out of here, but I'm going to go do another thing. But hey, now they're there and they're thriving. And I guess that's what I think God would want in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, that's what we're about here at least. And it's interesting you keep bringing it up too, because our mission at the Momentum Company is to help leaders curate environments within which people can thrive. I mean, everything we do solves for that. So that's the
That's cool.
whole, whether it's our AI technology platform. So we one of the with the advancement of AI, we were able to take all of our customers' big issues that we've discovered through 20,000 hours of coaching and put it into one platform that's now a performance management system. And you just
Cool.
install it, right? And it helps you be a much more intentional manager, right? Um, and if that helps people thrive, like, adopt it, put it in. Sending them to training, put it in.
Yeah.
Systems,
Yeah.
processes. I mean, just all the things that you think. Like, I don't know what you think about this and how you guys have walked this as you've grown as a company. For us, what we find is, in as much as people like autonomy, right? We say we want freedom, we want autonomy. I want to be able to go do my thing, and people thrive within specific boundaries. Does that resonate? Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Oh
How
yeah.
does that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys cross that bridge as a small growing business?
Yeah, small growing business is it's really interesting, right, with boundaries and things like that, because um, and especially in the early days, it's more interesting in the early days because we in the early days uh, we had a very small purse to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had to be cross disciplinary,
Yep.
and the thing that made us thrive with that, and just as an example, we had a sales leader who was an excellent salesperson and
Yep.
was leading the team, and had some some things that he was really good at, some things that he was not so good at.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to us all literally being in the same room, because we had this little office and everybody just kind of had a corner space. We all did his job together, and at the same time, people did my job with me because we were in the same room and we communicated and we got along. And I mean, definitely sounding like a broken record here, but communication is the only way to
Yeah.
deal with those kinds of things, and
Yep.
positive communication. And you got to have the right personalities to do that. And some people just don't want to do that. And I think a lot of those personality types that are not, that like very clear silos, they end up in big companies where they have very clear roles and boundaries. And I do this, and then I hand you that piece of paper, and your TPS report, right? And you just stamp your TPS report. Where's my stapler, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. I think, it's interesting to see, because there's a lot of small business owners that are listening to the show. And so, or maybe not owners, or small business leaders or people within those companies. And, they're, the goal is to grow, or the goal is to get acquired, or whatever the situation may be. But man, it's like there's a time and a place where it's the 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of you kind of in that one room, and you're just thriving off of each other's energy and moving on. Now all of a sudden, like but when things start to move in the right direction, you grow, right?
Yep.
And now it's like, well, we do have some silo sort of isolation necessarily, because we're not who we were. And I think it's being okay with giving up the old identity and moving into the new identity. But now this is where systems and processes and those kinds of things come into play. So when we go out and we work with companies and install what's called our Momentum 360, which is, it's a leadership operating system. You guys are an EOS company, I think, so you'd understand the operating system concept, but it's different, not competitive. It would be very congruent, right, with an EOS or something like that. And so, but what we do is we actually help leaders establish, okay, what is our attractor factor? Who are we? What are we about? What do we tolerate? What do we not tolerate? Okay. And then the next piece is, so what is that stability factor? What are the processes and the systems and the people that got to go, the people that got to come in? Like, what are the things that we do, right, in that place? And then the third phase is what we call the multiplication phase. And now we're helping them actually figure out, how do we multiply the bench, right? How do we multiply that leadership? And so a lot of times, like I said, it's very complementary to EOS. And that's really what it's about. Why do we do it? Because we're making that leap from the small team to the bigger team, right? Yep. And it becomes super necessary. So cool. Anyway, enough of me riffing on that. I want to hear what book or podcast would you recommend to the audience that they must get their hands on?
So the book that I would recommend is called Big Magic, subtitled Creating Living Beyond Fear. And it's written by Elizabeth Gilbert, who is the woman that wrote The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I've never read The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Big Magic is nonfiction, and it's all about being creative and fearless. And she comes at it as an author and a writer and being creative. She talks about painting. She talks about doing creativity for creativity's sake. And maybe this is a little counterintuitive as a recommendation, but we all have to approach our daily life, the problems we face, with a little bit of creativity. That creativity muscle is extremely important. Now, you mentioned earlier, it's also important not to be creative every day and reinvent the wheel every day, but I believe that creativity muscle is really important for solving problems, and she just does a tremendous job. It'll be completely different than your self-help business book kind of a thing. It's very much aimed at individuals. How do I approach creativity, and how do I thrive and make my life richer through creativity? And all of that muscle spills over into your daily work life. And I just think it's a cool read.
I love it. You're the first one in 200 episodes to recommend that specific book, Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert, and yeah, we need to.
Yes.
We need to. We're going to put that in the resource library. So with Jericho, which is our AI driven performance management tool, it actually has a resource library. But instead of it being like one of these boring libraries with all the e-learning stuff, we're very focused on like podcasts and books and YouTube videos and things that people actually consume. So when there's a problem that someone wants to solve or a capability that they need, to be able to do their job or life better, Jericho makes a recommendation on books and podcasts and YouTube videos and things like that. So we're gonna have the team make sure that Big Magic is in the Jericho resource library.
Get it in there.
Going forward. So yeah, it's going to be cool, man. Awesome. I love it. Cool. Well, any last thoughts or things that you would share with us about Nano Yield? Anything exciting that you guys are working on? I'll let you use some of that Big Magic creativity to figure out how to close this out today.
Yeah. I mean, so the most exciting thing that we've done in the last couple of years is we've developed a dry fertilizer coating. We have been a liquid additive company since day one, and just a couple of years ago, from the beginning, people were asking us, well, what can you do for dry fertilizer, make it more efficient? Mm-hmm. And we developed a dry fertilizer coating because people kept asking for it. My retort would always be in these meetings, and people would say, when are you going to do this? And I would point at the CEO and I would say, give him $1 million. Yeah, and I will develop it.
I'll figure it out.
And somebody did. We hired an awesome team, an awesome chemist, a great R&D team, and we developed this dry fertilizer coating that will knock your socks off. Instead of being aimed specifically at nitrogen or phosphorus or potassium, the coating will improve the absorption of all nutrients that it's coated on. It reduces dust, it cleans out equipment, it reduces volatility and leaching, it keeps phosphorus available. It is exciting, and we're 2.5 years into my knowledge of it, and I'm still just breathless over how fun and cool it is. The data we get back is amazing.
Amazing. All right. When is it publicly available now, or when is it
available now?
What's the product called?
It's called Nano Coat.
Nano Coat. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So is it nanoyield.com? Is that your guys' website?
Nano-yield.com.
Nano-yield.com. All right. So you guys, you retail procurement guys, jump on over there to nanoyield.com or nano-yield.com. By the way, this is a completely non-sponsored podcast. I do this completely out of the, like, it's a total give. I'm not getting paid to say any of this. I bring people by recommendation on the show, and we have cool conversations about intentional leadership. And if we can help them do business better, that's all this is. So, maybe we'll sponsor it at some point and do something that way, but right now we don't. And Landon, it's been a cool conversation. I appreciate you being on, man.
Same. Thank you.
All right. Let's get some Nano Coat.
Get it.